Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise on the big topics. And today we're digging into something that feels, well, more relevant than ever: work life balance. It often feels like work just keeps eating away at our personal time, doesn't it? It gets really interesting when you look back. Even before all the recent shifts, back in 2019, Rescue Time had these stats. Get this: 26% of people were taking work home, nights, weekends. And even crazier, 40% were still plugged in online after 10 p.m. That really shows just how much of a struggle this already was. But now, things have shifted. Companies are seeing that good work-life balance isn't just nice to have, it's actually key for attracting the best people.
That's such a critical point because the whole idea of work-life balance, it's often, well, misunderstood. People tend to picture this perfect, rigid 50-50 split. Work here, life there. And honestly, that's just not realistic, is it? Not in today's world. What we should really be aiming for is something more like a satisfying proportion
Hmm.
between work stuff and personal well-being. And that happens over time, not necessarily every single day. It needs flexibility, right? To shift priorities based on what's going on. Some people call it life integration. It acknowledges that work and life aren't totally separate boxes, they overlap.
Life integration. I like that reframing. It feels much more achievable. Okay, so with that in mind, our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear. We want to unpack what this balance or integration really looks like now. We'll touch on the challenges you face and give you some practical strategies organizations can actually use. The goal: a healthier, more productive workplace, one that's genuinely people centric based on the insights we've gathered. So let's get into how companies can help make this integration happen. First up, empowering flexibility and autonomy, giving people more control over when and where they work. Sounds great, but how does that work in practice? What's the real shift needed?
Yeah, good question. It's definitely more than just, letting people work from home sometimes. One big piece is offering flexible hours, things like flex time, choosing your start and end times within limits, or maybe compressed work weeks, working longer days for a shorter week or an extra day off. The core idea really is building trust. When you let people connect and work through different channels, email, project tools, even texts or calls, it shows you trust them to get the job done. It moves away from just watching the clock.
Right, focusing on the outcome, not just the face time.
Exactly. Which leads right into the next point. Prioritizing productivity over hours worked. This is a huge cultural shift for some places. It means focusing on what gets done, the quality of the work, not just how long someone was logged in. But to do that, you need clear, achievable goals. And then you have to actually empower people with the autonomy to manage their own time. When you shift from that sort of surveillance mindset to empowerment, well, that's when you see creativity go up and burnout go down. It's about results.
Makes sense. And I guess remote work fits right in there too.
Absolutely. That's the idea of losing the office. Maybe not forever, but at least some days. Remote or hybrid models offer real benefits. We saw Exposure Ninja, for instance. They went fully remote permanently. And they found it saved money, sure, but also critically boosted productivity and employee well-being.
But what if a business can't go fully remote, like manufacturing or retail?
Yeah, good point. It's not always possible. But you can still offer flexibility. Maybe send employees to a co-working space sometimes. Just getting a change in scenery, meeting new people. It can provide a fresh perspective, a real energy boost.
Those are really solid foundations: flexibility, trust, focus on results. But here's the thing: doesn't all that freedom risk blurring the lines even more? How do you stop work from just taking over everything? Which brings us right to boundaries and managing workload. That seems crucial to avoid burnout.
You're absolutely right. That's the flip side. And one key strategy here is to regularly review workloads. This isn't just an annual review thing. It needs to be ongoing. Regular, open conversations. Managers need to actually sit down with their people, ask about their responsibilities, deadlines, what challenges they're hitting.
So, like, actively checking in on capacity.
Precisely. Is someone overloaded? Or maybe even underloaded? Then you can adjust, redistribute tasks, maybe reprioritize, or realize, hey, we actually need to hire someone. There's even software for capacity planning that can help spot trends before things get critical.
Okay, so proactive workload management. What else?
Well, building on that, companies need to insist on breaks and time off. Seriously insist. Daily breaks aren't optional luxuries. They're vital for focus, for preventing burnout. Our brains need that downtime and vacation time. People have to use it. It's essential for long-term health and job satisfaction.
But how do you make sure people actually do it, especially if the culture feels intense?
Managers have to lead the way. They must model this behavior. Take your breaks. Use your vacation days visibly. That sends the strongest signal that it's okay, that it's actually expected. Things like PTO trackers can help manage the logistics too.
I think we've all been there, right? Powering through, thinking it's productive, but then you just hit a wall. So yeah, modeling is key.
Exactly. And boundaries aren't just about time. They're also about our tools, our devices, which is why separating work and personal devices can make a surprising difference. If the company can provide work phones or laptops, great. If not, encourage people to delete work apps, email, Slack, whatever, from their personal phones after hours.
Creates a mental separation too, I bet.
Totally. A physical and mental disconnect. Plus, it's actually better for digital security and data privacy anyway.
Good point.
Tied into that is the need to respect working hours. Managers need to be strict about this for themselves and their teams. Discourage sending emails or messages late at night or on weekends. Lead by example. Don't expect instant replies outside of core hours. It's about creating predictability, letting people properly switch off.
And what about the meeting culture? That can be a huge time suck.
Oh, definitely. Don't overschedule meetings, please. Always ask, is this meeting truly necessary? Could we solve this with an email? A quick chat. If you do need the meeting, keep it short. Clear agenda beforehand. Strict start and end times. Think about the cognitive load, too. Switching in and out of meetings all day is draining.
Yeah, context switching kills productivity.
Right. And finally, to help people manage all this, provide time management training, offer workshops, maybe online courses, teach practical techniques. Things like the Eisenhower box, urgent versus important, or the Pomodoro technique with focused work sprints and breaks. These aren't just job skills, they're life skills for managing balance, giving people control over their own time.
Okay, so we've covered flexibility, autonomy, and then crucial boundaries in workload management. These feel fundamental. But real balance seems like it needs to go deeper, right? Beyond just the work tasks, supporting the whole person, their well-being, their growth.
That's a really important shift in perspective. It's about holistic support. And a great example is providing family support. Think about it, you lose incredible talent if you don't support employees who are caring for kids or maybe aging parents. This means things like proper paternity, maternity, or shared parental leave, but also ongoing support. Maybe on-site childcare, or help with elder care, or simply offering genuinely flexible part-time or job share options.
Like that Deloitte example you mentioned, the dial up or down.
Exactly. Or Sabrina Parsons and Palo Alto Software. She actually has a room in the office for employees' kids, and her company culture allows people to flex their hours for life stuff, doctor's visits, home repairs, school events. These aren't just minor perks. They show a deep understanding that employees have lives outside the office walls.
Wow, a dedicated room for kids. That really speaks volumes about the culture.
It absolutely does. And another piece of this holistic view is encouraging physical activity. Companies can get creative here, organize group activities like hikes, maybe an in-office gym if feasible, or even just promoting things like walking meetings. Getting outside, moving around, it feels freeing, and sometimes sparks better ideas than being stuck in a conference room.
Walking meetings, I like that. Simple but effective.
Yeah. And then there's fostering creativity. It's not just about the direct work output. Giving employees dedicated time, maybe like Google's famous 20% time, for their own creative projects or side interests, it benefits the company. Sure, you get fresh ideas. But it also tells employees, we value you as a whole person with your own passions, not just as a cog in the machine.
Investing in their full selves, not just their role.
Precisely. And that has to include mental well-being. So provide mental health services. This is non-negotiable today. Offer access to confidential counseling, stress management workshops, mental health professionals. An employee assistance program, an EAP, can be invaluable, helping people manage stress, anxiety. It also helps reduce the stigma around seeking help.
Making it normal and accessible to get support.
Yes. And another way to connect work with broader life satisfaction is to encourage volunteering. Some companies offer paid time off for volunteering, maybe, say, 8 hours a year. It gives people a sense of purpose, connects them to the community. It reinforces that the company cares about more than just the bottom line.
That sense of purpose can be really powerful.
It really can. And speaking of growth, consider establishing learning days. Mindvalley does this with Learning Fridays, a whole day just for learning something new that could help your career. Interestingly, they found it worked best at the office to minimize home distractions. People read, listened to podcasts, maybe work on a new business idea.
Dedicated time for growth, protected from daily tasks. That's interesting.
Yeah, it shows a real investment. And finally, a simple but powerful idea, create a quiet space. Just a dedicated spot in the office. Peaceful, uncluttered, no work stuff allowed, comfortable chairs, maybe some plants, quiet music, reading material. The key is It's for silent reflection or just decompressing, not for chatting or venting.
A sanctuary, basically.
Exactly. A place to truly switch off mentally, even for just 10 minutes. It respects the need for solitude.
Okay, these are all fantastic initiatives, family support, creativity time, quiet spaces. But let's be real. Policies on paper are one thing. Making them work is another. It feels like leadership and communication are the glue holding it all together, right? What's the biggest hurdle to making these things stick?
You've hit the nail on the head. It often comes down to the culture, and that starts the top. Setting a good example is absolutely crucial. Managers need to visibly prioritize their own balance, leaving on time, taking their vacations, not sending emails at 11 p.m. That sets the tone far more effectively than any written policy. If the leaders aren't walking the walk, nobody else will feel safe doing it either.
So it's about permission, but demonstrated permission.
Exactly. And that flows into the next essential piece. Talk to your employees constantly. Get regular feedback. Ask people what they need to feel productive but also relaxed. If someone seems stressed or off balance, ask them what could help. This feedback is gold. But, and this is a big but, you need that culture of psychological safety first.
Right. People need to feel safe giving honest feedback without worrying it'll backfire.
Precisely. You need to
Okay.
build that trust before you ask for the vulnerable feedback. It takes consistent effort. Ultimately, it all circles back to whether an organization truly wants to be people-centric. The companies that succeed here are the ones that find that balance between flexibility and discipline. They empower people but also have clear expectations. They recognize everyone's different, needing slightly different things to thrive. And they see investing in well-being not as a cost, but as a core part of their success strategy for attracting and keeping great people.
Wow, okay. That was quite the deep dive. We've really unpacked this idea of work-life balance. It's not that rigid 50-50 thing, but more like an ongoing dynamic integration, an ebb and flow. And we've looked at so many practical ways companies can support this, the flexibility, the boundaries, the holistic support, and crucially, that leadership piece, leading by example. It seems clear that fostering this kind of culture isn't just good for people, it's actually good for performance too.
Absolutely. If we tie this all together, the ultimate aim is creating an environment where people can bring their best selves to the table, both at work and outside of it. And, this raises a really interesting question for you listening. As technology and society keep changing, this whole concept of work-life balance is going to keep evolving too, right? So think about this. What's one single shift maybe in your own daily routine or something your company could do that could make the biggest immediate difference in improving this vital balance for you or for the people around you? Something to mull over.